Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a quiet kind of growing up, the kind where childhood does not end with a big moment, it fades out slowly, one small responsibility at a time. No one announces that you are becoming an adult, you just realize one day that someone has to be strong, someone has to be calm, someone has to handle things, and it might as well be you. Psychology describes this as growing up too fast, and for many people it did not feel like a choice, it felt like survival. Some children are placed into emotional or practical roles long before they are ready. This can be taking care of siblings, managing a parent's emotions, being the peacemaker, being the strong one, being the reliable one. Psychologists call this parentification, when a child is expected to manage emotions, their own or someone else's, before their brain and nervous system are ready. The brain adapts by suppressing personal needs. They learn to stay calm, to solve problems, to be mature. But they also learn a quiet rule: my feelings come last. This does not mean they were born strong. It means they became strong because there was no other option. Their nervous system learned that being needed was safer than being needy. Being useful was safer than being vulnerable. Over time, this becomes part of their identity. They are the one people depend on, the one who keeps things together, the one who does not fall apart. But inside, there is often a child who never got to be held, never got to be messy, never got to be unsure without consequences. Developmental psychology shows that when children cannot rely on consistent support, they develop early self-reliance. They stop asking for help because help is unreliable. They stop expecting comfort because comfort is inconsistent. They learn to handle things alone even when they should not have to. As adults, they appear capable, calm, and composed. People may say, "You are strong, you are independent, you can handle anything." But internally, trusting support feels risky. Support can feel temporary, unsafe, or conditional. This kind of survival independence can look like confidence, but it is often built on the fear of disappointment, the fear that if you depend on someone, you will be let down. So you do it yourself, you carry it yourself, you fix it yourself. And while this can bring success and competence, it can also bring loneliness, because letting someone in feels like giving up control, and giving up control once meant danger. Psychology also talks about something called split maturity. When emotional development is rushed, some parts of a person mature too early, while other parts remain unmet. You may be wise beyond your years, serious, responsible, and thoughtful. Yet inside, you may feel confused, guilty, or emotionally unfulfilled. You might know how to take care of others, but not know how to take care of yourself. You might understand other people's emotions deeply, but struggle to understand your own. This happens because you did not get enough time to learn how to need others safely. You learned how to give, how to support, how to hold space, but you did not learn how to receive without fear, without guilt, without anxiety. So as an adult, you may feel emotionally older than your age in some ways, and emotionally younger in others. You might feel strong and fragile at the same time, capable and exhausted at the same time. Another pattern psychology notices is uneasiness with rest. Many people who grew up too fast associate calm with danger. When things were quiet in childhood, something often went wrong later. Maybe a fight, maybe a crisis, maybe emotional withdrawal. So the nervous system learned to stay alert. Rest does not feel safe. Doing nothing feels wrong. You may feel anxious when things are calm. You may feel uncomfortable when you are not needed. Your body may only feel valuable when you are useful, when you are solving problems, when you are helping someone, when you are holding things together. Psychology links this to chronic stress adaptation in childhood. Your nervous system learned that being on guard was protective, but in adulthood, this can turn into burnout, anxiety, and difficulty relaxing, even when you finally have permission to rest. There is also often guilt around needing attachment. Research shows that early responsibility can create a deep belief. If I am being taken care of, someone else is being burdened. So you minimize your needs, you apologize for wanting support, you feel guilty for resting, asking, or depending. Receiving care feels strange, not comforting. You may push it away, even when you want it, because somewhere inside, care feels like a cost to someone else. This guilt can show up in small ways. You might say sorry too much. You might hesitate before asking for help. You might feel uncomfortable when someone does something kind for you. You might feel like you need to earn rest, earn love, earn support. Psychology understands this as a learned belief from early roles, when your value was connected to what you provided, not who you were. Another effect is guarded empathy. Growing up too fast often sharpens emotional awareness. You learn to sense changes in mood. You anticipate problems. You read people quickly. You can feel tension in a room before anyone speaks. This is a survival skill. It helped you stay safe. It helped you manage emotional environments. It helped you prevent conflict or prepare for it. But psychology also shows that people with this level of empathy often protect themselves by staying guarded. They know how much it costs to care without protection. They know how draining it can be to hold everyone else. So they may keep emotional walls. They may help others, but not let others truly see them. They may be deeply caring and deeply private at the same time. If you grew up too fast, psychology does not call you broken. It says your nervous system adapted to pressure early. It says you learned responsibility before safety, strength before softness, maturity before comfort. These were not personality flaws. They were survival strategies. They helped you get through a time when you didn't have what you needed, and that matters, because it means your patterns make sense. It also means healing is not about becoming weak. Healing is about allowing yourself to experience what you missed, learning that you are finally allowed to rest, learning that you are allowed to need, learning that you are allowed to receive without guilt. Healing is about teaching your nervous system that safety can exist without constant effort, that calm does not always lead to danger, that support does not always disappear. For many people, this feels uncomfortable at first. Rest can feel boring, unsafe, or even scary. Being cared for can feel awkward. Trusting someone can feel risky. Slowing down can feel like losing control. This is normal when your body learned to survive through constant alertness. Healing is not instant. It is gentle. It is repetitive. It is teaching your system new experiences over time.
You may notice how you talk to yourself. Do you shame yourself for being tired? Do you push yourself even when you are exhausted? Do you minimize your own stress because others have it worse? These are common patterns for people who grew up too fast. You learn to downplay your own pain because your pain did not feel like a priority back then. You may also notice how you relate to others. Do you take on more than your share? Do you feel responsible for other people's emotions? Do you feel anxious when someone is upset even if it is not your fault? These can be leftovers from early emotional roles. Understanding this is not about blaming your past. It is about giving your present self more choice. When you understand that your strength was learned, not natural, you can begin to ask a new question. What would it feel like to be supported? What would it feel like to rest without guilt? What would it feel like to let someone care for me, even a little? These questions can feel strange, but they open the door to a different kind of strength, a strength that includes softness. Psychology shows that the nervous system can change. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain can learn new patterns. Your body can learn new definitions of safety. Over time, with consistent experiences of rest, care, and emotional safety, your system can slowly relax its grip. You may still be responsible, capable, and strong, but you do not have to carry everything alone. It is also important to recognize that growing up too fast can affect how you see yourself. You may feel older than your age emotionally. You may feel disconnected from play, joy, or spontaneity. You may feel uncomfortable with being taken care of. Reconnecting with those parts of yourself is part of healing. allowing yourself to enjoy small pleasures, allowing yourself to be imperfect, allowing yourself to be human. You are not behind because you are learning these things later. You were busy surviving earlier. You were busy holding things together. You were busy being what was needed. Now you get the chance to be what you need. That is not selfish. That is repair. That is balance. That is giving yourself what was missing. If you notice that you feel guilty for resting, try to remind yourself that rest is not a reward, it is a need. If you notice that you feel uncomfortable asking for help, remind yourself that needing others is not weakness, it is human. If you notice that you always put yourself last, remind yourself that you matter too, even when you are not useful. People who grew up responsible for more than a child ever should, it makes sense that you still feel that weight. It makes sense that letting go feels hard. But you are allowed to put some of it down now. You are allowed to be supported now. You are allowed to rest now. Your nervous system learned one way to survive, and now it can learn a new way to live. You do not have to prove your worth by suffering. You do not have to carry everything to be valuable. You are valuable because you exist, not because you are useful, not because you are strong, not because you are responsible, just because you are human. And if you are still carrying that weight, be gentle with yourself. You carried it for a long time. Learning to set it down is a process, not a failure. It's a sign that you are finally giving yourself permission to heal, to soften, to rest, and to receive. And that is not weakness. That is growth.